is John Kohler with GrowingYourGreens.com. Today we have another exciting episode for you, and here we are, still in winter, and it's actually late February, and I'm going to start planting out my summer crops. So local big box stores and local nurseries are now selling peppers and tomatoes and other summer crops, cucumbers, zucchinis, all this kind of stuff. And likely where you live, most places will start selling the summer crops early also. But the problem is we're not past our last official frost date, which means, although the weather's been nice, it's 75 degrees here, and most of you guys are actually in like the blizzard whatever of America 2015 and freezing. The days have been in the 70s, sometimes the 60s, the nights have been in the 50s, and also, high 40s. And so it's, as long as it's above freezing and the weather's starting to warm up, you can get away with planting some of the summer crops. So the first things I'm going to plant out, because I want to be able to have these guys first, are the zucchini squash and some sunburst squash, and also some cucumbers. My two top picks for cucumbers in the desert are Armenian cucumbers, top pick, followed by lemon cucumbers, which do fairly well also. And, because we still might get a cold front, I'm going to show you guys how to protect your plants, a few degrees, and how to keep them ultra warm so that you can get them into the ground early. And more importantly, if you do choose to plant them early, I'll recommend how I specifically recommend you guys doing that, because although it's not freezing, the weather is not exactly like summertime weather yet. It's still rather cool, and there's not as much sun, and this will affect, your growth. You always want to choose the sunniest spot to plant your garden, and in the wintertime, we just get a little bit less sun than in the summertime. So that could be an issue as well. In any case, actually, I got to prepare a bed, get it ready for planting, then I'll actually have you join me and show you guys how I'm going to plant my plants, and more importantly, how I'm going to protect them, to plant my summer crops early. All right, so before I could actually plant out my summer crops, I gotta make sure my irrigation system is properly installed, because there is no standoffs in here. It continues to sink down. So what I made is a jig. So thanks to Brian Nichols, if you're watching out there, Brian, my former boss, who was really into making jigs. And so I made a jig basically to measure the depth of the aqua jet to ensure the holes as they come out are approximately 3 to 4 inches, probably right around more like 4 inches max. And that's where I really need them to be so that the water could actually capillate up and my plants will actually get water. Because if you guys remember, if you guys are long-term viewers, I did get this bed installed, plan things out, and I lost more than half my plants the original time that we had the aqua jet installed. And then I did kind of correct that, and then now after the season it sunk down again, so now I'm having to pull it up and pack soil underneath, so hopefully it won't sink down. Be sure to stay tuned and subscribe to my channel if you're not already for an upcoming episode on the aqua jet and my opinions about it right at this time. Alright, so I'm going to get back to adjusting my aqua jet. Is it like adjusting your stuff, your junk? When it's kind of like off. Well, I don't know, this is more important than adjusting my junk. So I gotta get this done, then I gotta get the stuff planted out, and I'm gonna share with you guys how I'm gonna keep them warm, even if it still gets cold out. Alright, so as you guys can see, I'm just mixing up my handy dandy soil mix here to basically top off my bed. I got the aqua jet basically all leveled out, and the soil sinks down every season in my beds because it is so light and fluffy, and earthworms are in there and doing their job, and things are breaking down, all the microbes that I have in there. And the one thing I do not do is I do not till. So don't ever take your shovel and fork it in and I gotta turn over my soil, because that's what they do. That's bullshit, man. If people are teaching that, walk away. They're teaching you wrong, in my opinion. It's super critical to my style of gardening, and there's plenty of other styles. You don't have to follow my stuff, but if you want the results that I get, you want to do what I do, right? And that's what I teach. I mean, I visited so many other gardens across the valley here last summer, and none of them, for the most part, overall, could compare to mine. Like, my pepper plants were taller than other pepper plants I've seen, and why? because I take the time to build up the soil. I do not till, because when you till, when you take a fork, a shovel, and dig it in and flip it over, you're basically oxidizing the nutrition. So now you're lowering nutrients in the soil. So now you have to bring in more fertilizer, right? I don't want to do that. In addition, you're disturbing the microbes, the earthworms, all the different creatures in the food soil web that makes the food basically bioavailable for your plants, being the organic matter and, more importantly, in my opinion, the trace minerals that I've been adding. So in this soil mixture, what I've added are a few things. I added my own homemade compost. I added the Worm Gold Plus worm castings. I added the rock dust. I added the John and Bob's host of 3 different organic products in here. Let's see, what else did I add? I added also some Dr. Earth's potting soil. That's some of the best bag soil money can buy, and I just want to put the best stuff in my garden. I don't want to screw around with things, local bagged soil products that are full of like wood chips, like the Dr. Earth stuff, man. Primo stuff. You can check it out and try to find it at your local nursery. Request it if they don't have it. I think also True Value, you can get it through them because they don't have distribution in like large big box stores. But yeah, I mean, that's pretty much what's in here. I got some biochar in here, definitely some good stuff. I got some zeolite in here. I got some humic acid. I got all kinds of good stuff in here. So anyways, what I'm going to do now is we're going to go ahead and fill up this bucket here. And now I'm just going to go ahead and go in and top off my bed, and then I'll get ready to plant. So I got all the soil in there, and what I like to do is take my jig and take the back side, and basically what I'm doing is I'm going along the bed to make the soil all level all the way down. Now this is an optional step. I'm kind of anal like that, and I really think this just really makes the garden look nicer. Now this is completely aesthetic. Well, mostly. I guess I'm trying to fill in some of the dirt, so it's all level, so that once again, I'm fitting the most amount of soil in here. But I think it also looks very nice too. And after this, I'll probably get ready to plant. Then of course, I'll water them all in, and maybe even sweep this off a little bit. And we'll have a nice bed ready to plant out in. So now I'm ready to get planting, and we're gonna plant these guys, the Armenian cucumbers. These did amazing for me last year. Had, I don't know, 3-foot long Armenian cucumbers. These are the solid green color, but I really love the striped Armenian, actually. Those were more tasty, even better than these guys. So anyways, we're gonna go ahead and plant these guys out, but right now, it's not past the official last frost date. What that means is there's a certain date that, I don't know, whomever, geologists or whatever, weatherologist people, figure out is your last frost date based on statistical records, when that you will no longer have a freezing day. I mean, until that time, you're taking a chance. It may or may not freeze. Now with, climate change and things getting warmer, I've noticed I could plant out a little bit early and early every year, which actually I love on that respect. On other respects, I don't think, the earth getting warmer is necessarily too good, but we're not going to talk about that topic today. But nonetheless, if you live in a place where it snows, I don't necessarily recommend planting out Armenian cucumbers on a warm day, because you might get a snow and poof, they're gone. That being said, this little invention here is, my insurance. Like if you go to Las Vegas and you're a big gambler, you're gambling, right? People gamble here all the time. I actually don't gamble. My gambling is planting my plants out early in Las Vegas. But I get insurance, because when you gamble, you could also sometimes get insurance on blackjack. Well, this is my insurance that my plants are going to make it. It's actually called the Grow It Now Plant Protector. And not only is this ensuring my plants are going to make it, this ensures that they will actually grow better and faster than without them. And so what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to do a test, and I'm going to use this on basically every other set of plants to see the growth difference, and I'll give you guys an update later on. Now these were invented by a poor guy that lives in Idaho. Right now it's still snowing in Idaho. But with these plant protectors by Grow It Now, he's able to start his garden 3 weeks earlier than everybody else. Now, no, he doesn't start tomatoes and his summer crops 3 weeks earlier. He starts brassicas, broccoli, and cauliflower, and kale, and Brussels sprouts earlier, because those are frost tolerant. But the problem is, although they are frost tolerant, they get a cold day, and the soil is really cold, the plants aren't going to grow. And that's the killer thing, you know, if you're trying to plant early. It's not necessarily the weather, the temperature that can kill your plants. It's the soil temperature. It's not, if it's hovering around like 50 degrees, your plants aren't going to lose their life. But let me tell you, your plants aren't going to grow that much either, because the temperature's not warm enough, as well as, you know, we don't get as much sunlight. I'm happy to say the days are getting longer now, and it is a bit warmer. But the thing is, you know, especially with summer crops, they like warm soil temperatures, not only for the plants themselves, but more importantly, for the biologic activity in the soil. This is critical for you guys to know, and this is why, I mean, literally, if we put this guy in the soil right here, this acts like a little greenhouse. I mean, I walked in my greenhouse today, I unzipped it, and poof, got a face full of hot air, which I love. I love it nice and warm. But basically, this is a sun accumulator for the heat on the soil, which warms up the soil, which will, you know, ensure your seeds, if you're planting from seeds, start faster. It'll also warm up the soil so that the soil biologics, the whole food soil web that I talked about earlier, all the different fungi and bacteria can start working. Have you guys ever seen ants in the wintertime? Well, a lot of them go to hibernate, but if it's not too cold, you'll see them in the winter, and they're just like, doo, doo, doo. They're like slow motion, man. If you see them in the summer, they're like, and that's because the weather's colder. When things are colder, you know, reactions and things don't happen as fast, especially with the biology. That's why we put things in the fridge, so that they don't, you know, mold and spoil and all this stuff. But same thing happens to your soil. So we want to ramp this up by getting the soil warmer, and the Grow It Now Plant Protector is my #1 way to do that, to ensure my plants are not only going to be protected from the cold weather if we have a cold spell of a few degrees, but more importantly, warm up that soil. So I'm going to go ahead and get planting, and we'll show you guys what I got after. All right, so as you guys can see, got them all planted out. Basically, I put lemon cucumber and an Armenian cucumber in the protector, and we can actually go close these guys up or leave them open, depending if you want maximum heat or just a little heat. And so I planted one here, left one open there, and then every other, and then I also planted every like other 2, I planted like a zucchini. So my goal with this is that, you know, after the last frost date has passed, I'm gonna go ahead and take all these guys off, stick in trellises, and hopefully let the cucumbers vine up the trellis. And by that time, the zucchini should be big. Half the, you know, leaves will go into the wall and bounce back, and then hang over, and I'll have tons of zucchinis to eat. So that's the plan. Let's see if it all actually works out. I'm glad that the Plant It Now protectors are allowing me to plant earlier, and it's going to be definitely interesting to see if these plants do better than those plants. And maybe if it even frosts, I'm not protecting those guys, so those guys are just going to have to deal with it. Well, that's pretty much it for this episode. So if you're interested in the Grow It Now plant protectors, you want to check them out at growitnow.com. Be sure to check the link down below in the description for a money savings off coupon. These are the plant protectors I use in my garden that's allowing me to grow earlier, which is allowing me to eat earlier out of my garden than all the other fools in Las Vegas. So hopefully you guys get these and be able to eat out of your garden sooner rather than later this season. Once again, my name is John Kohler with growingyourgreens.com. We'll see you next time, and until then, remember, keep on growing.